Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the International Literary Festival Houston 2021. I want to welcome everybody here in Houston, in Texas, in all Latin America, and in Europe, if they're awake, it's 1 o'clock in the morning right now over there, that they're watching us all over the world. We're here at our hostess house, the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston, which are being represented by Mary Carmen Ramirez, Margaret Mims, and Lourdes Remond. We're going to have a representative of HEB, our diamond sponsor, Mr. James Harris, and David Medina from Rice University. I want to mention also that I want you to remember that this festival is going to keep going on for another 5 days, starting tomorrow until Tuesday the 9th, and it's going to be at 6 and 7 p.m., and there will be 2 great interviews per day with the following poets: Raúl Zurita, Chile; Reina María Rodríguez, Cuba; Raúl Vallejo, Ecuador; Elsa Cross, México; Gloria Gerwitz, México; Mario Montalbetti, Perú; Mara Pastor, Puerto Rico; Olvido García Valdés, España; María Auxiliadora Álvarez, Venezuela; and the special guest for Poetas en Casa 2020, Jordi Virallonga from Spain. I also want to give my most profound thanks to our diamond partner, HEB and HEB Tournament of Champions, the City of Houston, that the grant of Houston Arts Alliance makes this possible, El Tiempo Cantina, Lorenzo's Grill on Washington Avenue, Patagonia Grill, Ranchero King Buffet, Pedro Arguello Gastroenterology, and Francisco Padua. And to start this, let me present the founder and chairman of the board of Casa Cultural de las Américas, who will inaugurate the 9th International Literary Festival. With you, Dr. Elizabeth Quila.
Muy buenas tardes, muy buenas noches, muy buenos días. De acuerdo al uso horario, desde donde estén mirando, desde donde estén siendo parte del 9º Festival de Literatura de Casa Cultural de las Américas. Esta tarde, este año, igual que el anterior, nuestro venue, nuestro sponsor es el Museo de Fine Arts de Houston. Gracias a ellos, gracias a su equipo, gracias a todos los que ustedes no pueden mirar, que están tras cámaras, esto es posible. Pero también esto es posible no solamente gracias al sueño del que hablamos permanentemente desde que tenemos uso de la proyección de la realidad. Esto es posible gracias a que auspiciantes, gracias a que voluntarios, gracias a que mucha gente, muchas firmas hacen esto posible. Yo quiero inaugurar este festival con un profundo agradecimiento, sobre todo y más que nada, a quienes han hecho posible que Casa Cultural no solo nazca, no solo crezca, sino que hoy por hoy sea lo que somos. Una de las primeras personas, Aneli Fraga, y otro de los que han sido parte de este nacimiento y de este crecimiento, a David Medina, quien dentro de poco estará con nosotros. Gracias a todos los voluntarios, gracias a todos los que creen en este proyecto, gracias a todos, a todas. Muchas gracias. Con ustedes, Mauricio Hussmann.
We continue, ladies and gentlemen. And now I want to present the representative of our host, Mari Carmen Ramirez, the Wortham Curator of Latin American Art at the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston. Mari Carmen Ramirez is the Wortham Curator of Latin American Art and founding director of the International Center for the Arts of the Americas, ICAA, at the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston. A globally renowned authority on modern and contemporary Latin American art, Ramirez has published extensively and curated numerous exhibitions, including the award-winning Inverted Utopias, Avant-Garde Art in Latin America, 2004 with Hector Olea, Beatriz Gonzalez, a retrospective with Tobias Ostrander, 2019, Elio Politica, The Body of Color, 2006, Contingent Beauty, Contemporary Art from Latin America, 2015, Home, So Different, So Appealing, with Sean Noriega and Pilar Tompkins in 2017, Joaquin Torres Garcia, Constructing Abstraction with Wood, Menil Foundation, 2009. She's also conceptualized and implemented the ICAA documents of the 20th Century Latin American and Latino Art Project, a major digital archive and book series focused on primary sources. In 2005, Ramirez received the award for curatorial excellence granted by the Center of Curatorial Studies at Bard College. The same year, Time magazine named her one of the 25 most influential Hispanics in America. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure to present Mari Carmen Ramirez.
Thank you very much. Gracias. Good evening. Buenas noches. On behalf of the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to the 9th edition of the annual International Literature Festival, organized by Houston-based Casa de las Américas. Since 2013, Casa Cultural de las Américas has developed a world-renowned multi-day international festival that highlights and champions the rich contributions of writers and poets from the Spanish-speaking world. In November of last year, 2020, while the pandemic was at its peak, the museum was honored to host the 8th annual Literature Festival as a live stream event. Later that same month, the institution marked a major milestone in its history with the opening of the Nancy and Rich Kinder Building for 20th and 21st century art. The Kinder Building is the 3rd gallery building on the MFAH Serafin campus and adds more than 100,000 square feet of exhibition space, all of which is devoted to showcasing the museum's expansive and continually growing collections of international, modern, and contemporary art. Bragging rights aside, what is so important to note about the Kinder Building is that in addition to having the first permanent galleries dedicated to Latin American and Latino art, more than 20% of the works displayed were created by artists from these communities. That's a statement that very few museums in this country can make. Situated in a global port, Houston occupies a strategic position between North and South America. This fact, together with the ascent of the Latino community as the most important minority community in this country, and a long tradition of cultural philanthropy grounded in the city's preeminent share of the oil, gas, commercial shipping, and health industries, provided the stimuli for an unprecedented program at the MFAH that started with the millennium. One aimed at collecting, exhibiting, researching, and promoting modern and contemporary Latin American and Latino art to a degree that no other institution in the United States had ever attempted before. A salient aspect of the MFAH multifaceted program was the mandate to assemble a brand new collection of modern and contemporary art from Mexico, Central and South America, and the Caribbean, as well as outstanding examples of US, Latino art. Having started near zero, the collection today boasts over 1,500 works in all media by Latin American and Latino artists, and we're just getting started. The works in this collection speak to the highly original, innovative, and visionary quality of the art produced by these artists across the region. At the same time that the museum began collecting this art, it also established the International Center for the Arts of the Americas, or ICAA, which is the only center of its kind in the world. Its landmark Documents of Latin American and Latino Art Digital Archive project offers access free of charge to primary sources crucial to the study and understanding of Latin American and Latino contemporary art. Considered the first and still the only digital humanities initiative in these fields of study and collecting, the ICAA Documents Project cuts across national and cultural boundaries, bringing to life the ferment of international cultures, ideas, and personalities that swept across the 20th century and now 21st century South and Central America, the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, and Latino communities in the United States. These writings provide invaluable evidence of how artists, writers, and intellectuals from Latino America contributed major theoretical insights to the international avant-garde movements, or in many cases, opened the way for novel tendencies. The Latin American Art Department and ICAA championed the work of Latin American artists, just as Casa Cultural de las Américas champions the work of Spanish-speaking writers wherever they live. Our missions are truly parallel, and the museum looks forward to a long and ever-growing partnership with Casa Cultural de las Américas to celebrate the rich dialogues between the visual, literary, and performing arts created by Spanish-speaking artists around the world. We are honored to host and look forward to celebrating many future festivals with Casa Cultural de las Américas. Although we can't yet be together in person, I hope you will visit the Kinder building at the museum to see some of the many treasures of Latin American and Latino art from the museum's holdings that reflect the challenges, struggles, and triumphs we experience as human beings. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mari Carmen. It was beautiful what you said, and it's really great to be in partners with you guys here. Thank you for hosting this for the last 2 years. And now I want to present the speaker for our diamond partner, HEB, that has been supporting us since 2014, and without them, probably we wouldn't accomplish everything we did through the years. James Harris will be the speaker. He's the Director of Diversity and Inclusion and Supplier Diversity. Harris develops policy, creates programming, and sets the strategic direction for the company and the 13 regional diversity councils across the state. This program creates value for all stakeholders, which operationalizes the D&I strategy for the company. Harris leads the supplier diversity strategic direction for the company. He creates, collaborates, and connects local, small minority, disabled, and veteran business owners to the company's procurement and sourcing process. His approach to all things business to move from transaction to transformation. James serves as director and advisor on many boards and councils: the Texas Diversity Council Board of Directors, the True Blue Inclusion, the Food Marketing Institute, Chair Supplier Diversity Committee, the Texas NAACP Corporate Advisory Council, Chair and and 2020 NAACP Foundation Board Trustee. Harris has received many awards and accolades because of his business acumen. Most recently, he received the Outstanding Head of Diversity Award from Houston Business Journal, Diversity in Business. It's also a great pleasure and with all my gratitude to present James Harris.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Harris. I am Director of Diversity and Inclusion and Supplier Diversity with HEB. HEB is proud to be the presenting sponsor of Casa Cultural's International Literature Festival 2021. For more than 15 years, HEB has supported the mission of Casa Cultural. At HEB, we believe in the life-changing power of education and literacy. That's why we launched programs like our Excellence in Education Awards program, the largest monetary program for educators in the state of Texas. Our Read 3 program provides over 4 million books to young leaders. We launched our Be the Change campaign, which allows us to be the change we wish to see in the world. So we increased our support of organizations like Casa Cultural that are committed to driving literacy. On behalf of HEB, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to Casa Cultural for your tireless efforts to make life-changing literacy opportunities accessible, affordable, and achievable by introducing Texas to authors from around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, James. It was great to have you here and to see you, and thank you for your kind words. Let me run a 30-second commercial. I want to say many thanks to Lorenzo's Bar and Grill, El Tiempo Cantina, the Patagonia Grill, and Ranchero King Buffet for all their continuous support through all these years. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to present the memory book, Por el Mundo Sin Fin, which will be presented by David Medina from Rice University and Dr. Elizabeth Quila from Casa Cultural. David Medina is Director of Multicultural Community Relations at Rice University, a position he has held since 1991. His responsibility at Rice is to enhance relationships between the ethnic communities of Houston and the university. Under his guidance, his team has won gold and 2 silver medals in the national case competition as part of the centennial celebration at Rice. Medina led a group that produced a documentary about Blacks at Rice that was featured on Houston PBS and was nominated for a state Emmy. Medina also writes feature stories for the award-winning Rice University magazine, edits the newsletter Rice at Large, and writes book reviews for Literal magazine. He has won 17 writing awards. And he was the one that believed in Casa Cultural the first year in 2012 when we was funded. Thank you, David, for all you did for Casa Cultural. The second presenter, Dr. Elizabeth Quila. She's a writer, journalist, doctor in psychology, and psychoanalysis. She has obtained awards in Madrid, Guayaquil, Cuenca, and Houston, both for her literary work as well as her work as a psychotherapist and pioneer of social projects in education and health. Her last recognition was at the International Latino Book Awards in New York a couple of months ago. There she was an award-winning author among over 30,000 presenters for the latest novel in the adult fiction category, El cadáver que envejece dentro de su tumba, published by Vaso Roto from Spain. Por el Mundo Sin Fin is for a world without end, a name inspired by the great work of Dante Alighieri, The Divine Comedy. With you, David Medina and Elizabeth Quila.
David, voy a tener un desacuerdo. Voy a poner una muralla. ¿Qué esperas? Quizá bastante menos que una idea. porque las fiestas nunca son solo eso. Son deudas natales, nieve clínica, autorretratos, o como diría Raúl Zurita, destierros.
Well, that's a beautiful point from this book that we're about to talk about. Well, thank you, Mauricio and Elizabeth, for giving me this opportunity to participate in this literary event. As you well know, literature is very close to my heart. Whenever I get the chance to talk about literature, I jump at it. For as you know, that prolific readers don't always have a chance to talk about what they read. But tonight I have a captive audience, and I'm going to talk about this book, about poetry. And as you all know, when Mario Vargas Llosa was here as a visitor, as a guest of Casa Cultural, he said that poetry was the highest level of writing. And that's why he started writing fiction, because poetry was just too hard for him. And whenever he read a poem that he wrote, he cringed because he couldn't believe how bad it was. But tonight, in this book of poetry, the level of writing is exquisite, it's high level, it's moving, it's touching. And the book came out right at the right time. It came out during the pandemic when we all are suffering mentally and physically. And this book is trying to heal us. As just let me find my page here. Luis Armaneta Malpica said, what heals and saves us from at least some diseases are the creative arts. And this reminds me of John Stuart Mills, who was a philosopher, and he was going through a deep depression. And the way he got out of that depression was by reading the poems of William Wordsworth. And this is what this book is trying to do. It's trying to offer us some comfort during this time of the pandemic. And we have 8 poets from 9 different countries. And before I start talking about the book, I want to compliment the translator, Jennifer Rathbeth. She did an excellent job. She herself must be a poet, because to capture the spirit and the words, the perfect words in English for these poems, she did an excellent job. So congratulations, Jennifer. Because of time constraint, I'm going to talk about 4 poems that really touched me. All these poems are very, once again, moving, they're inspirational, but these 4 poems were something special to me. And the first one, the book starts with, is called Impasse. And I'll just briefly read it because it's so short. And it's by Maria Auxiliadora Alvarez. The deafening sound of the sea comes between us two. I say to her, I think we're drowned. She answers, no, we're not drowned. I say to her, we're lying abreast on the floor of the sea. She answers, no, we're standing on the shore. I say to her, truly, I believe we already drowned. She answers, no, we're breathing quite well. I say to her, for me, no air comes in. She answers, I have air for both of us. The poem really moved me because it shows how one person's trying to help another person who's under distress. It could be 2 lovers, 2 friends helping each other out in the moment of crisis. The second poem is from Mexico, and it's from our good friend, Gloria Garvet. And it's, I think, a poem that it was written for Mauricio Hussmann. It goes like this. It must be so, it was so written. Where is it written? How can it be written? Does fate precede the Aleph? I cover your fears with kisses. The earth will cover you. The earth will cover all your fear, and oblivion will cover the fear. And the Soltis bows before the mother and feeds her, and she feeds this dream, and I am in that dream. And the dream is suddenly interrupted, as if bitten by a snake. My answers were more complex than my questions. What I truly am escapes my understanding. I don't know who in me decides for me, for I leap from the pinnacle into the beast, and I get tangled in my own wings. And each day is unique, unpredictable, imperfect. Only the void is perfect, and life is full of imperfections, and I don't know how to live it. What remains? What will remain? What of what I once was? What of me? And all that I didn't do, and all that I didn't say, and all that I didn't give, and all that I kept. What for? For whom did I keep it? So this poem is a poem of predestination. The poet is trying to figure out what life is about. She doesn't know. She's living in an existential life, And she questions herself, who's making these decisions for her? And at the end, she says, why did I hold back so much? For whom did I hold back? Why was the purpose of trying not to say certain things or not trying to live a certain way? Why did I do that? What was behind that? And it's a poem that reflects many of our concerns in life, where many of us has gone through that. Well, we always go through that. Third poem that I would like to talk about is, it's a bit of a musical poem. It has musicality in it, and it's humorous in certain ways, and not humorous in other ways. And it's natal debt. Natal.
¿De quién es el poema?
Es de María Pastor, yo creo.
De Mara Pastor. Lo tienes en el 76 o 78. Página 76 y 78.
In this poem, Natal Debt, it's a very concise poem with very few words. And in Spanish, it has a lot of musicality. But in English, it might lose some of that, but she does a very good job, the translator, in catching the spirit of this poem. I'll just read a part of it. And it's called Natal Debt. I say storm, I say river, I say tornado, I say leaf, I say tree. I'll be wet, I'll be damp. I won't be a bus, I won't be a pelican. Baby, I'll want. Maybe man, I'll want. Man songs I'll want. Woman, I'll always be. Small wind I'll have. Small islands I'll have. I won't have money, I have a dream. So this is sort of, I'll say papaya, I'll say bean and yuca. Car I'll have. Fuel I'll have. Washers I'll have. Everything so expressing I'll say. Everything so pretty I'll say. Cats I'll have. Cat hairs I'll have. Mothers and fathers I'll have. Mothers I'll be. Aunt I'll be. Wife I'll be. Friends I'll be. I'll have little. I'll have a rented house. I'll have a debt. I'll say tree. I'll say leaf. I'll say tornado. I'll say river. I'll say storm. So this is really a story of her life, of what she's going to learn and who she's going to be indebted to, and what's going to happen throughout her life as she goes through it, and what she's going to learn and what she's going to owe to this life. The last poem is by Raúl Vallejo, and he's from Ecuador. Self-portrait. This is a poem that really touched me because he is a poet. He's trying to put himself in other people's places, people who are on the margin of society, who have been ostracized, who have been condemned, who have been hated, who have been tortured, who have been oppressed, who have been forbidden. And he sympathizes with all these people. He puts himself in their place. And it's called Self-Portrait. Do I have time for you? Okay. I've been in other lives a part of the condemned transparency, young and an apprentice in a Greek philosopher's academy, a prostitute flogged near a temple full of merchants, a preacher hidden in catacombs or exposed on the Colosseum's arena, a witch exposed to placate the sculptures of Torquemada, a Wicca worshiper in times of Viceroy Toledo, a Negro woman in Alabama, a Jew in Auschwitz, a poet in Wall Street. I've been what is on the side of the road and the wayfarer spits at. I trash that decent throw them when nobody is watching. The bad thought of the old woman who isn't certain of why she sighs, the frenzied and lonely hands of a teenager. The mirror where the flustered newborn watches the blossoming of her breast. The letters of those lovers who defied the space with scented papers. The rope of the hang, mute crystal ball, Maya, sacrificial altar. I've been what the order and the power branded was fire, a Norseman and a Galilean, jolted by the constant flogging on his back, a midget laughing stock in medieval castles, a critic for the patronage and the Renaissance for Florence, a cloister nun, avid of wool and with vacation on the sciences, a risen curaca and follower of Tupac Amaru, a palace groom, ugly concubine, stepmother in fairy tales. I've been what is said is a hushed voice, what is forbidden for the underage, what is accepted under the table, what is thought, what is brought sleazily. An adolescent girl of a nude show in Bangkok, immigrant transvestite in Bois de Boulogne, communist whore in the nights of Havana Seal Walk, escort for executives for a DuPont Circle agency, mulatto gambling in the small hours of the beaches of Rio, HI positive masseuse, apprentice lovers of the mayor in the small town. I am the world stoned by those who fiercely threw the first stone. So once again, this poem was really moved me because he
¿Me
is.
permites leer este verso en español?
Claro que sí.
Raúl Vallejo, Guayaquil, Ecuador. Mi coterráneo va a propósito. He sido lo que se habla en voz baja, lo que está prohibido para menores, lo que se acepta bajo la mesa, lo que se consigue a hurtadillas. Muchacha adolescente de espectáculo nudista en Bangkok. Inmigrante travestido en el bosque de Polonia. Jinetera comunista en las noches del malecón de La Habana. Acompañante de ejecutivo de una agencia de DuPont South. Mulatillo que deambula madrugadas por las playas de Río. VIH positivo, aprendió de masajista, amante del alcalde en pueblos chicos. Soy el mundo lapidado, por lo que arrojaron con rabia. Por los que arrojaron con rabia las primeras piedras.
A beautiful poem about a person who has compassion for those who are suffering. And with that, I think I will conclude my talk unless I have a little bit more time. There's only one more poem that I would like to talk about, and it's by Raúl Zurita from Chile. It's a fairly long poem, so I don't know if I can read the whole poem, but it's a poem that he talks about his country, Chile, and I think it's during the time of Pinochet, during the dictatorship of Pinochet, and how that country was forced to silence by an oppressive government. And he compares his country to a black spot in the desert that has been quiet and has no voice. And there's a ship on the desert that's shipwrecked, and there's all dead people in it. And all those people have been quieted down because of the oppression by this oppressive government. And it's a long poem, and it's a beautiful poem. And he ends in a way that maybe there may not be much hope, but so that they are the last stones over a boat of dead, and that they're dying, that Chile is dying, that you alone are on the last howl that dies beneath the last INRI of the landscapes. And with that, I conclude my talk. Thank you.
Por el mundo sin fin. Una frase de la Divina Comedia de Dante Alighieri, que definitivamente hoy más que nunca tiene que ver con lo que estamos viviendo, con lo que estamos sobreviviendo. David Medina, como parte de esta presentación, quiero agregar una anécdota del día en que nos conocimos, una anécdota de la última vez que nos vimos, exceptuando esta oportunidad. Hace 9 años tocamos a tu puerta y nos diste la oportunidad. Un hombre, muchos sueños. En la última vez que nos vimos, exceptuando hoy, y a partir de eso vamos a hablar por el mundo sin fin, porque gracias a ti, el mundo del arte y la cultura en Houston no tendrá fin, aunque tú ya no estés. Quiero hacer memoria, quiero rememorar este momento del almuerzo que tuvimos en la Universidad de Rice, precisamente, cuando te preguntamos, ¿y por qué nos diste la oportunidad? ¿No? Yo estaba apenas llegada a Estados Unidos, hablaba menos inglés que ahora, by the way. Mira, bebé, lo lindo que es, me sale así todo bilingüe. Entonces, y tú nos dijiste algo que definitivamente ha inspirado una de mis nuevas obras. Porque, cito, David Medina, porque estaba curioso por saber qué iban a lograr, de qué íbamos a ser capaces.
Exacto.
Ahora te pregunto, David, porque como ustedes saben, los que me conocen y los que no me conocen, pues lo sabrán ahora, yo soy una chica muy humilde y modesta. ¿Tú crees que lo hemos logrado?
Oh,
¿Qué crees que hemos hecho?
no, what Mauricio and Elizabeth have done has been incredible. They've added another aspect of the Latino culture to Houston. They enrich our city, they enrich our culture through their events. They've brought poets from Latin America who were unknown here in Houston, but they introduced those poets to the Houston community, and now we're richer for that. And they did it in Spanish, and Spanish is a beautiful language, is widely spoken in Houston, and it was really welcome to hear poets in Spanish and to open our eyes to another horizon of literature. And once again, when I first heard Mauricio and Elizabeth, I didn't know who they were. They just showed up in my office through a recommendation of a friend. And I said, okay, I'll give them an opportunity to have an event at Rise. Their program looks very impressive. And if they can pull that off, I'll work with them again. And if they can't, I'll never see them. But I've been working with them every year. And every year they organized some spectacular events. And that culminated when they brought Mario Vargas Llosa to Rise. We had a sold-out event. We had about 1,000 people in the music school. And it was a spectacular event, thanks to Mauricio and Elizabeth. And thank you for making Houston much richer culturally.
Mario Vargas Llosa creo que fue parte del comienzo. Hemos tenido inmensos autores, inmensos seres humanos, inmensos espíritus, gracias a personas como tú. Pero quiero hablar sobre todo a propósito del mundo sin fin, del comienzo que es antes de ti, un lapso bastante corto antes de ti. Y quizá por eso, aunque para mí la cultura mexicana era bastante desconocida en mi país, como en España, que fue donde estudié, al llegar aquí confirmo la frase de mi México lindo y querido. Porque una de las personas, o algunas de las personas que hicieron el camino precisamente del arte y la cultura en Houston, en Texas, que es lo que me consta, lo que me corresponde, de lo que puedo hablar, no podríamos dejar de mencionar, David, a Dorothy Carán, a Félix Fraga y tantos otros personajes, tantos otros por decir debido a la grandeza de ellos. Que como me comentaba en el momento en que decidimos fundar esta entidad, Elizabeth, aquí te tenemos la mesa puesta. La mesa ya está puesta. Yo vine y estaba servida. Estaba llena de los platos más exquisitos y rigurosos de toda Latinoamérica. Había mole, había causa, había ceviche, había de todo. Entonces hacía falta como que yo trajera el encebollado, la guatita y todo eso, ¿no? Hemos hecho un compendio, hemos hecho una mixtura de lo más bello que es la humanidad, que tiene que ver con el mestizaje, que tiene que ver con la maravilla de la completud de lo que somos como espíritus y como personas. David, ¿qué podrías decir al respecto de lo que estoy hablando? Porque tú llevas, para empezar, tú eres houstoniano, tú naciste aquí, yo soy una recién llegada, y eso para disimular mi edad, señores. Yo soy una recién llegada, así que, por favor, hablemos un poco del comienzo, tú que lo conoces, de lo cultural en Houston, porque es lo que les interesa conocer a las personas que nos están observando ahora, las personas que van a ver este programa posteriormente. ¿Dónde se asienta Casa Cultural de las Américas? ¿En qué bases tan fuertes, tan maravillosas, tan fortalecidas es que nosotros hemos podido asentarnos y crecer.
Yes, well, Houston's one of the most diverse city in the country, if not the more diverse. And our population, the Hispanic population is 45%. And we have long waited for an organization like Casa Cultural. When I was going to school in Second Ward in Russ Elementary, we could not speak Spanish. If we spoke Spanish, we were punished. And now we are celebrating this beautiful language. We are no longer punished. We are now rewarded for learning how to speak Spanish. And Casa Cultural has added to that great success of this city. It was at Casa Cultural, maybe we never would have known about those poets from Latin America and Spain. They've added to this culture, not subtract. Many people think that because you're learning Spanish, you're subtracting, you're taking away from this culture. No, we're adding to it. We're making it richer. We're making it better. We're bringing people together. And as these poets here said that, yeah, we have to help each other. We have to be one world. And Spanish, through these poets, are doing that.
La mayoría de nosotros entendimos esto. No me pidan que lo traduzca porque no puedo. Pero en síntesis lo que dice es que somos grandiosos. Ahora sí, seguimos. Por el mundo sin fin. Seguimos por un mundo sin fin. Por un mundo donde todo sean nuevos comienzos. Es un libro, son las memorias de este festival, que este año, y espero que sea el último, sea híbrido. Que los demás, que lo que venga sea presencial, que todos podamos vernos, podamos sentirnos, podamos escuchar los latidos de los que amamos el arte. Por el mundo sin fin conglomera a 9 autores. Son 10 los que invitamos a este año, pero conglomera solamente a 9 autores porque son los que eran parte de este festival. El 10º pertenecía al anterior, a la antología Poetas en Casa. María Auxiliadora Álvarez de Venezuela, con uno de sus poemas, Desacuerdo. Elsa Cross, Muralla. Olvido García Valdés, ¿qué esperas? Gloria Gerbitz, Not. Mario Montalbetti, Bastante menos que una idea. Mara Pastor, Las fiestas nunca son solo eso. Reina María Rodríguez, Nieve clínica. Raúl Vallejo, Autorretrato. Raúl Zurita, El desierto. Hemos llegado hasta el 9º festival. Este es nuestro 2º libro, Por el mundo sin fin, de Casa Cultural de las Américas. Y antes de continuar, antes de que David Medina sea la persona que cierre esta presentación, quiero mencionar a personas, algunas de las personas que han hecho esto posible. Yo insisto en que el voluntariado definitivamente es la parte neural de toda entidad. Siempre, porque lo que se hace de corazón no tiene latidos que puedan concluir. Así, Por el mundo sin fin agradece especialmente a Deneile Flor, nuestra presidenta anterior. Agradece a Yomaira Torres, quien ha montado los espectáculos más hermosos de los que todos los que estuvimos allí han sido testigos. Tenemos a Mauricio Hussmann, mi compañero, amigo y nuestro relacionista público. Tenemos en este año a Jocelyn Flores, a Andrea Elizabeth Lichfield, entre otros. Muchas gracias también a Lourdes, porque ella ha sido el enlace desde hace 2 años con el Museo de Fine Art, Lourdes Raymond. Y un agradecimiento especial también para Nancy Salazar, nuestra cómplice, nuestra pata, como decimos, nuestra pana, nuestra amiga, la amiga de los jóvenes, la guía de los jóvenes, quien gracias a ella, por estos 2 años, los jóvenes se han integrado a nuestra entidad. Muchas gracias, Elizabeth Quila, David Medina, por favor.
Well, once again, this is going to be a great event, and they've always had a great event every year. And please join us in this Casa Cultural Literary Festival. You'll enjoy every moment of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, David. It was wonderful. And now we continue with the readings of the students from the International Leadership Texas schools, who will read the poems of the book of the El Mundo Sin Fin. They were coordinated by Professor Fernando Blesa, who will attest that when art is sown in young people, the fruits are beautiful. My and our sincere thanks to Tricia Vasquez, Angeli Peña, Natania Quick, Senji Abasi Odungide, Barbara Migraine, Russell Leach, and Isabella Salazar for making this possible. With you, the students of the International Leadership of Texas.
Vi a una mujer emerger de la piedra, vi a la piedra emerger de la mujer. Vi su furia de tierra, su fuga de arena.
Clark Gable me regaló la sabiduría de su vejez y siendo Rosalind fui su última.
En pleno verano y ya los veo. Temo a la solitaria noche de los ángeles y ya los veo. Oh Joe, no permitas que ellos se me acerquen. ¿Por qué diablos no contestas el teléfono, Joe?
Correrías a casa por mí, Señor. Dimagiago, 56 veces seguidas. Celebrarías mi funeral, yo. Llevarías flores a mi tumba cada semana.
No creas en la verdad, no creas en la belleza, no creas en el amor. Siéntate al piano, sopla el corno, rasga la cuerda y quedaremos a la par. No me alcances un becerol si me duele la cabeza. No repitas conmigo películas que ya viste. No creas que hay algo importante en lo que haces. Ni siquiera una buena acción es tan buena como ninguna. Octava nube o noveno cielo apartes. Algún día el cuerpo será un hecho suficiente.
Un poema escrito en la pared no es solo eso. Si ella lo sabe de memoria, un poema de memoria en otra lengua no es solo eso. Si él lo tiene escrito en la pared, un poema no es solo eso. Si comienza con un infierno en otra lengua, eso es una conversación. Algunos siglos después será un cielo, una fiesta y otra fiesta. Pensábamos que era solo otra fiesta, otra suave noche de diciembre, pero las fiestas nunca son solo eso.
Don't believe in truth, don't believe in beauty, don't believe in love. Sit at the piano, sound the horn, strum a string, and we'll be even. Don't give me a Becerol if my head hurts. Don't watch movies with me you've seen before. Don't think that what you do is of any importance. Not even a good deed is as good as none at all. Eighth cloud or ninth sky cast aside, someday the body will be a sufficient fact.
A poem written on the wall isn't just that, if she knows it by heart. A poem by heart in another language isn't just that, if he has it written on the wall. A poem isn't just that, if it begins with hell in another language. That is a conversation. A few centuries later, it will be heaven. One party and another party. We thought it was just another party, another pleasant December night, but parties are never just that.
noche en que te perdí. Sombras de duda y celos solo me envuelven pensando en ti. Deja que yo te busque y si te encuentro, vuelve otra vez. Olvida lo pasado, ya no te acuerdes de aquel ayer. Olvida lo pasado, ya no te acuerdes de aquel ayer. Mientras yo estoy dormida, sueño que vamos los dos juntitos a un cielo azul. Pero cuando despierto, el cielo es rojo, me faltas tú. Aunque yo sea culpable de aquella triste separación. Vuelve por Dios tus ojos, vuelve a quererme, vuelve mi amor. Deja que yo te busque y si te encuentro, vuelve otra vez. Olvida lo pasado, ya no te acuerdes de aquel ayer. Olvida lo pasado, ya no te acuerdes.
Wasn't that wonderful? Thank you to the students of the International Leadership of Texas. Thank you for that beautiful song, Isabella. You're wonderful, you have a great voice. Now, I just want to also, we're going to present some awards from the mayor to some people, volunteers, and people that made this possible. But first of all, I want to give another very, very big thank you to the City of Houston, the mayor, Houston Arts Alliance, and the people that work with us to help us to get the grants that are absolutely wonderful. And from the Museum of Fine Arts, two people that without them, this was never could have been happening here. Margaret Mims and Lourdes Remond. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, let me read what this says. This is the City of Houston commends and appreciates blank Casa Cultural de las Américas in recognition of their stellar work ethic and staunch volunteerism in helping coordinate and further facilitate the success of Casa Cultural de las Américas. Therefore, I, Sylvester Turner, Mayor of the City of Houston, thank blank for their worthwhile efforts and extend best wishes for continuous success. November 4th, signed by the Mayor of Houston, Honorable Sylvester Turner. So now we're going to present the awards. The first one will be for Dr. Carrasco. Is going to be taken by Nancy Salazar on her behalf because she couldn't be here. Come in, Nancy. The second award is going to be for Professor Fernando Blesa, that coordinated everything with the student with a tremendous, tremendous work. Thank you very much, Professor Blesa. Next one for Isabela Salazar for their outstanding volunteer work for Casa Cultural. And last but not least, for Maria Tancredi Kanga, that helped us also through the years. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Elias Duran. He's one of our sponsors. He's the owner and general manager of Ranchero King Buffet. Thank you for being here and presenting these awards. Now, I want to remind everybody that this festival will continue until Tuesday the 9th. Every day at 6 and 7 p.m., we're going to have interviews with the poets that wrote these memories, this memory book for El Mundo Sin Fin. Los invito a todos a que nos sigan hasta el próximo martes 9 de noviembre a las 6 y a las 7 horas de Houston para ver las maravillosas entrevistas con los poetas que escribieron estas memorias. Y también los invito a que el año que viene, para celebrar este 10º aniversario, estén listos porque va a ser algo apoteósico. I welcome everybody for next year for our 10th anniversary to join us, follow us on Facebook, on our website, on Instagram. For next year, our 10th anniversary, that it will be something amazing. And now, to close the festival with a musical participation of one of the greatest poets, singers, and co-authors and authors of music from Ecuador that a few years ago was here with us, Margarita Lazo from Ecuador.
Mi saludo al Festival Internacional de Literatura de Houston y a la Casa Cultural de las Américas que nos ha convocado. Estaremos con Antonio Silvio, estoy con Julio Andrade para ofrecerles estos temas. La música es de Pablo Valarizo y estos textos que les dedico a ustedes. Vamos.